Imagine you just had a long and stressful day at work. Your supervisor has been drilling you all day long, and it seems like the workload just won't cease. All you want to do is go home and relax to help and unwind and look for some sort of comfort aid. Instead of going for a nauseating alcoholic beverage or an addictive cigarette, you reach for an all-natural hand-rolled marijuana cigarette. Unfortunately, this is currently illegal in most states, even though substances like alcohol and tobacco, which causes more harm, are allowed to be purchased over the counter. Now, based upon my research and personal encounters with marijuana, I believe that we should legalize the use of marijuana because marijuana is not as dangerous as tobacco and alcohol use. Second, crime rate will go down. Now, with that being said, I am all for limitations of how much marijuana we can use and how much it can be in our person. Now, I'd like to start out to say that I am a man of the law. My course of studies in criminal justice, and I've always tried to uphold the rules and regulations of our legal system. However, throughout my teen years and young adult life, I have seen well-respected individuals and hardworking men and women using this controlled substance with it affecting their daily life or harming any other individuals. I have gathered my research from the following sites: www.cdc.gov, www.alternate.org, and medicalmarijuana.procon.org. Now, alright, let me start this off with the first reason why marijuana should be legal. Marijuana is not as dangerous as tobacco and alcohol use. According to CDC.gov, in 2011, the estimated amount of individuals over the age of 18 smoking marijuana was 80 million. That same year, no one was reported to have overdosed or died from smoking marijuana, whereas an estimated 4,400 people died of tobacco use. In the past decade, over 250,000 people died in alcohol-related incidences. Now, when you look at marijuana, only 26 individuals passed away from its use. Just by looking at those numbers alone, you can see a huge difference in the lethality of the legal drugs to that of marijuana. Now, people argue that marijuana is a gateway drug that will lead to more dangerous substance abuses. However, at the same time, the same can be said about alcohol too. Alcohol abuse can lead you to experiment with drugs and dangerous activities that one wouldn't conduct if in a sober state of mind. Alright, now that I've made my point, time to move on to reason 2. The crime rate would go down. Now, looking at alternate.org, you can see that 15 million people over the last decade have been arrested for marijuana. This is an outrageous number for a substance that is lethal as a newborn kitten. Under federal law, possession of marijuana is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in prison and up to a $1,000 fine for the first offense. This is just for a few ounces of marijuana. The more on your possession, the harsher the sentence. Fines can be up to about $1,000, and you have to take a mandatory drug test and even have to wear an electronic monitoring system just to know where you go to. Now, if you take away the legal structure of possessing and distributing marijuana, you will eliminate many of the state's expenses. Holding someone in jail can cost a state up to about $47,000 a year, which just so happens to be the minimum sentence for possession of marijuana. Now, with that said, the state is pretty much paying $47,000 for a 2-ounce joint retrieved from the suspect. When Prohibition was around, organized crime was at an all-time high because people wanted to have their beer and whiskey. Now, once Prohibition was ceased, the crime rate actually dropped severely, and mob bosses were at a loss. You can use the same effect over to marijuana. Now, okay, so let me move on to how we can actually control this substance if legalized. Now, limitations of possessing marijuana and how much your body can actually have. Physicians at medicalmarijuana.procon.org state that controlled marijuana does not harm the body whatsoever. It can actually help the body with certain illnesses such as AIDS and cancer. Setting up a system of laws and regulations on the use of marijuana will create order and allow people the chance to use the substance responsibly without the fear of repercussions. Now, just like with alcohol, if you are driving or operating any motor vehicle under the influence, you should be charged and fined appropriately by the guidelines of the law. Also, if you are in possession of more than the deemed control amount of marijuana without a license to market it, you will be charged in accordance with the law. Now, let's summarize what I just went over. 1. Marijuana should be legalized because it is not dangerous as tobacco and alcohol use. Second, the crime rate would go down if legalization of marijuana was enforced. Now, if you believe as I believe and you feel as I feel, then join me and together we can make a difference.